Lingana. Stories from Eastern Province, Zambia. Episode 4. You don't get this back home. We heard from Alice in the last recording that the lodge staff are instructed by the director to not become friends with the visitors in case those visitors are shocked when they find out about how the staff are treated. Fortunately, the director was rarely out of her secluded office, so I was free to develop my illicit friendships unhindered. If the adults are encouraged not to form friendships, you can't put the same control on the kids. They are very much in your face, and in turn you have to be available for them. There's a preschool every morning during school terms in the big meeting hall at the lodge. A new visitor must undergo the initiation if they go anywhere near that hall in break time. Mazungu, Mazungu, they cry, flocking round you. Mazungu in the dictionary means European, but of course is anyone with a white skin. But if you're allowed by the preschool teachers to help with one of the learning games, you start to see the individual characters coming out. The shy ones, the slightly bewildered ones, the outgoing ones. And how come they're so joyful mostly, even though you see the poverty sometimes? The barefoot kids, the hand-me-down shorts 3 sizes too big, the torn t-shirts. The language of Eastern Province is mostly Chinyanja, a version of Chichewa. But the language of state, due to the colonizers, is English. The kids generally only start to speak English at school, so they try it out on you. How are you? How are you? How are you? I'm okay, thanks. How are you? How are you? How are you? And it goes on until eventually you find the correct response. They've been taught this in school. Fine, and how are you? They won't reply to this, but the formula has been fulfilled and all is well. Over the years, I've tried various responses, even the local language for fine and how are you. Nili bueno, ulibuanji. But this simply causes a momentary confusion. This is a Mazungu, a white guy, and the format cannot be changed by his pretending to be a Zambian. Now I simply reply, fine, and how are you? To the ones who don't yet know me. Having said that, sometimes kids see you coming down a track on the compound. Mazungu, Mazungu, they shout excitedly, and it makes you feel like a white rhino who's just been spotted by some safari dudes. Recently, I got fed up with being a specimen, so I went up to the group of boys shouting Mzungu at me. Zinalanga Ndine Tony, Sindine Mzungu. My name is Tony, not Mzungu. I was greeted by those boys next day with shouts of Tony and high fives all around. Very rewarding. Mind you, if you go out in the bush to one of the villages where you may well be one of the first white people the kids have seen, in no time you're surrounded by a throng of little ones, stroking your skin maybe to see if it's real, I have no other idea, and laughing excitedly. You are an alien arrived on their planet. At the lodge, guests are invited to attend the weekly session of Chinamwali. Traditionally, this is a ceremony for girls who have arrived at puberty. Basically, Chinamwali is to initiate girls into how to behave towards their elders, but most importantly, to educate them in how to behave towards the husband in the bedroom. So why do white guys get invited? I guess they're considered to be so far away from the culture that it doesn't really matter. But more importantly, the lodge charges money to attend, which of course goes to the director. Basically, the evening consists of pounding drums, singing, and some pretty wild dancing and moves. One of the things initiated girls are supposed to do is erotically dance for the husband to arouse him. It felt like an invasion to be there, even though this was obviously a tourist version, nothing to do with teaching young girls. But it was a crazy, wild evening, and I'm glad I saw it once. I asked Alice, "Did you do Chinamwali when you were a girl?" She told me, no. Neither her nor her sister were pressured to go through it by their mother, which is usually how it happens. But she was running the kitchen at the lodge some years later, and she was cold-shouldered by some of the other girls who worked there because she had not gone through the initiation. They would try to stop her seeing what they were cooking until she read them the riot act. "You can treat me like this in your village, in your own kitchen, but this is the lodge kitchen and restaurant, and I'm the boss, so behave." It's true that in the village, if she was at the well with other girls who knew she hadn't gone through Chinamwali, they would ignore her, even stop talking until she's gone. But this is Alice, fiercely independent, a firm believer in equality between women and men, while accepting the different roles they have in their culture. I believe she has inherited some of her strength from her mother, Violet Ngwenya, a remarkable lady, a strong lady. And in turn, Ketty is very lucky to have her as a mother. And this Tony is lucky to have them all as friends. Zambian society has radically different sections, so traditions like Chinamwali are found in the villages, less so in the compounds around the towns. I'll give a more comprehensive breakdown of the different sections of Zambian society as I've seen it in an episode that I'll do soon on life in the compound. The chiefs and chieftainesses are at the heart of tribal culture in Zambia. Overseen by the paramount chief of their tribal group, they in turn oversee the village headmen and headwomen. They are responsible for leading social change in traditional village culture, like clamping down on child marriages and helping in the fight against AIDS. Some also have courts to administer justice in land disputes, stuff like that. Those serious and violent crimes will usually have to go to the judiciary. Among the people I met the first time at the lodge was Chief Mbangombe, a tribal chief of the Chewa people and the custodian of all the tribal land in that area. It turned out that he had a soft spot for Ketty also. The lodge was in fact tribal land that the chief donated to the director, and he was in those days a frequent visitor. The first time I met him, he was sitting in the lodge open area with a Western girl who I knew, equally disillusioned with the lodge volunteer program. I sat down with them, greeted the Zambian man as he looked at me and smiled. "Muli bwanji," and he replied, "Muli bwanji, what is your name?" We got talking. Then I noticed someone behind me, someone half kneeling on the floor, hand tapping the chest over the heart. My companion looked at him. "Yes?" The man spoke. "Your Royal Highness, may I talk about an issue I have?" A short conversation ensued. The man went, and I looked at the chief open-mouthed. He just called you Your Royal Highness. Yes, that's my title. Oh my, forgive me. I just sat down here and started chatting with you. I didn't know who you were. You must be Chief Mangombe. That's right. But it's okay, Tony. You are European, and you don't need to follow our ways. Nonetheless, I was always very respectful to the chief after that, and he gave me some wonderful insights into tribal culture, and he also gave me his friendship. He invited me to his home at Capea Farms, way out in the bush, where I met his first wife, Clara Nkongela. They showed me the schools that they had set up at Capea. First, the primary school that Clara had set up many years ago. Then, the brand new secondary school, just finished, built with aid from the Imena Foundation of the Netherlands. The chief was very proud of the new school. He and Clara showed me round. Everywhere we went, teachers and pupils knew we were coming. I was filming on my video camera and they spontaneously put on a great performance by the choir.
They said the only solution is education. Since there is no lens nowadays, so the key is education. It's education. There is a hunger, poverty, everything, but the key of everything is education. That's the song.
It was difficult to hear what Clara was saying there because of my recording, but she said the song was about how the key to everything is education. They didn't have a school until Clara and the chief found the means to build one. And the school is beautiful. Chief Mangombe designed it himself, though he was very reticent about telling me. There are pictures of the build in the school office. Villagers passing buckets of cement and blocks along the line. Very much community living and working. When the build was complete, they grew enough maize in the communal field to feed the kids as well as themselves. What an example, if we would but see it. We were heading into the shaded, cool main bit of the school, and suddenly a group of girls appeared in an arched entranceway, silhouetted against the bright daylight outside, like they were an animated shadow show, their words echoing dramatically in the cool interior of the foyer. Took my breath away, the confidence, creativity of the girls. As we heard from Clara during the choir, the children love that they have the opportunity of an education. Like Ketty with her schooling, they are hungry to learn. All Zambian children are required to go to school, but if you live so far out in the bush, then it's difficult. Alice described to me the long walk to school when she was young, kilometers, sometimes without shoes. Let's hear a bit more from the poets at Imena School. This is a chance to give them a platform. The Niao are described as a secret society, men only. If you're thinking, like the Freemasons, no, not like them at all. The Niao may live in villages in the bush, apparently incognito, but there any resemblance to the Masons ends. They have a time as novices where, reportedly, they harden their bodies by getting hit with sticks, and they spend time alone, usually in burial grounds. I think that they may be deliberately eroding their connection to their personality. Certainly, they develop a persona which the masks they wear will reflect. The dance, Guliwam Kulu, is referred to as a ghost dance. Who is left in their bodies when they've allowed in a different persona? It's said that should you meet a Niao out in the bush, one who has taken the persona of a wild animal, then he could kill you, and that's the end of it. There will be no retribution because it is as if you were killed by a lion. Just unfortunate. On New Year's Day, the third time I was in Zambia, Chief Mbangombe sent his driver to pick me up. Ketty and Alice were invited on the trip also. The chief had chairs put out for himself and for me. I was astonished to find myself the guest of honor. The occasion? He'd summoned the Niao from a Niao-only village way out in the bush. They walked all the way to Kapea because whoever you are, if the chief summons you, you come. He had already told me, Tony, you are going to see Guliwam Kulu, and not some tourist version that you can see on the organized trips from the lodge. These are the big boys. They surely were. Being Niao was their way of life. That's what their village was about. I felt a great sense of privilege. I can't describe the experience. About an hour and a half, I think. It all got a bit timeless. A hot afternoon with surreal costumes and masks, and wild dancing, kicking up dust, highlighted by sunbeams slanting through the dappled shade under the trees. A crowd of local people around us. The chief's family seated on the ground and the others mostly standing, with children at the front of the crowd obeying a time-honored ritual, singing and responding to the shouts and animal noises from the Niao dancers. Several guys with shakers, their job to herd the Niao dancers back if they were getting too close to the chief's family and others. Bold little girls of 8 or 9 dancing out into the Niao dancing area and back into the crowd, singing their chants all the time. You can see a long video of that afternoon on my website, ulingana.com. That's ULINGANA.com. I was sitting with the chief one afternoon telling him about the website I was building, but I couldn't think what to call it. He thought for a moment. Ulingana is the word you need. It means leveling out, making equal, We've been talking about the huge difference that accidents of birth create. If you're born in eastern Zambia, the chances are you will have very little money. If you're born in Europe, you have a much better start in life materialistically, probably. But then again, you don't get this back home. Next time, I'm going to tell you about Isaac Kazembe and some of the stories he told me. A small, spare man in stature, with a big heart and a great spirit. We'll see you then.